All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the Minnesota Vikings in tonight's video. Winners of 6 straight football games. They are now 11-2. Captain Kirk Cousins makes his return to Minneapolis, but Minnesota comes out victorious 42-21, especially the fourth quarter, complete and utter domination, 21 unanswered points for Minnesota. We're going to talk about this game, kind of a rapid reaction. I just played golf today, and I just watched this football game. Can we take a moment to appreciate that the Minnesota Vikings with Sam Darnold, obviously no disrespect to Sam Darnold because he's literally playing like an MVP candidate, but if you told anybody on planet Earth, in the entire stratosphere, literally, you tell somebody on this stratosphere a couple of months ago that the Minnesota Vikings would be 11-2, they will call you out of your freaking minds. I'm sure even my most aware, fanatic Vikings fans watching this video, 11-2. Dude, the Minnesota Vikings are 11-2. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. All right. Welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings in tonight's video. We're going to talk about today's game against Atlanta in today's video. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Vikings fans, love and appreciate you guys as always. Try and get this video to 400 likes, folks. That would mean the absolute world to me. So over the last 4 football games, Sam Darnold, MVP. He's playing like an MVP. 11 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. He's up to 3,300 total passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. He actually became, this is a really cool stat, he became the first Vikings quarterback to throw for more than 300 yards and 5 touchdowns in a game since Dante Culpepper all the way back in 2004, folks. That's 20 years ago. Darnold finished the football game throwing for 347 yards and 5 touchdowns on 22 of 28 passing, 0 interceptions, like we said. Jefferson and Addison combined for 265 yards on 15 catches and 5 touchdowns. Whether you want to admit it or not, and I get it, there's probably some skeptical Vikings fans watching this video, you probably don't even want to admit it yourselves. You don't want to jinx it. This team is unbelievable. And there needs to be some praise given to the general manager and the entire organization for some of these free agent acquisitions, specifically Sam Darnold coming in here as like the quote unquote bridge quarterback for JJ McCarthy, the 10th overall draft pick, but especially defensively. And like the first name that comes to my head is Blake Cashman, but we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Let's get through this offense here. So technically the Atlanta Falcons had about 500 yards. I got it right here. 496 total yards of offense. Minnesota had 433. It was a really, really fun game to watch. That was just a fun game to watch because Kirk's back in Atlanta. But the difference maker always just feels like the defense. The defense is keeping this Vikings team in every single football game. And a game that comes to mind is the Jacksonville Jaguars, where, that game was so sloppy. It was clear the Vikings were the better team. In goal-to-goal efficiency, Atlanta went just 1 of 2. In red zone efficiency, Atlanta went just 2 of 5, and Minnesota went 4 for 4. And the Falcons had 12 penalties for 137 yards, which is just asinine. That's really a crazy statistic, but Minnesota's maybe Achilles heel is giving up big-time passing plays, like just large chunks. I'm thinking about Darnell Mooney's catch, but they never break. There are points where specifically the secondary maybe gives up a big-time play, but they don't break at any point. And something that comes to mind from today's game is at the end of the first half. Atlanta, I think that's when Darnell Mooney caught that football. And you have like first and goal. There's, plenty of time on the clock. And Minnesota just forces a field goal. And when you have a defense playing like this, and you have a quarterback who's got 28 touchdowns on the season and over 3,000 yards, the sky's the limit. I'm not sitting here and telling you the Minnesota Vikings are Super Bowl contenders, or I'm not saying I'll phrase it this way because that was a wrong statement. I'm not saying the Minnesota Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl this season, but I am just saying they're one of the best teams in the National Football League, whether you want to believe it or not. And obviously, if that, we're talking Vikings fans, it's just more so scarring, trust issues. This team's insane. Aaron Jones, no fumbles. He is back. He is focused. 13 of 71, one touchdown, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. Cam Akers also had a really nice game, 5 carries for 37 yards, including a 25-yarder. We mentioned Jordan Addison with 3 total touchdowns. We mentioned Justin Jefferson, 7 for 132 and 2 touchdowns. We said it in the offseason. It's one of the best 1-2 duos in the entire National Football League, and it took Jordan Addison a little bit of time to get back on track as far as coming back from injuries. TJ Hawkinson comes back, and this isn't a one-trick pony. It's not like Sam Darnold's just throwing it to Justin Jefferson and they're just having this, crazy statistical anomaly season. That's not the case in any way, shape, or form. You have a phenomenal trio, and you also have Aaron Jones, and you also have Sam Darnold, but Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, believe your eyes, trust your eyes and what they're telling you. This offense is OP. They're OP, and they're set up for the foreseeable future. But the big difference maker with the Minnesota Vikings this year is Brian Flores' defense. And we saw this in the second half of the Minnesota Vikings season last year, right? Started off a little bit sloppy. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of moving parts, even in this summer's offseason, where you move on from guys like Danielle Hunter, draft a couple of players. They are hitting on every single move. Byron Murphy, another interception. Josh Metellus, another interception. Then you look at guys like free agent acquisition Blake Cashman, who just literally had a career year with Houston. I'm shocked and baffled how often teams move off of linebackers. Blake Cashman just had a career season over in Houston 1 year ago. And, he missed a couple of games ago, and you could tell the difference. You could just notice the small little details. You just notice it. Blake Cashman today had 7 total tackles. And it just feels like all 7 of these tackles, every time Blake Cashman, his name is said on the television, whatever, it's just a high-impact play. The dude's a stud. Shaq Griffin, Redmond's breaking out, Cam Bynum, Dallas Turner, Asamoah with a forced fumble, couple of interceptions, Ward with a great game. I thought he had a sack. I guess not. Who was the guy with the sack? Jamin Davis. Always say his name wrong. This team is littered with I use quote unquote misfits in the sense of teams didn't want Blake Cashman back. Texans didn't want Blake Cashman back. Dolphins were ready to move on with Van Ginkel. I mean, what are you guys doing? Minnesota just hit on every free agent acquisition they had. And this is a phenomenal defense. This is a highly efficient offense. And whether you want to believe it or not, whether you're a Vikings fan or not, you have to take the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings team serious. This is nothing close to 2022, folks. That's it for today's rapid reaction. It's already 10 o'clock here in Florida. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. We'll get a more detailed Vikings video out to you guys in the next couple of days. But leave me your player of the game and leave me your thoughts from today's football game down below. We will see you soon. Peace.